right, everyone, welcome back for another deep dive. Make sure to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and ring that notification bell so you don't miss any of our upcoming explorations. Today, we're diving into something that, on the surface, might seem a bit textbooky. We're talking about the New Development Bank.
Yeah.
But stick with us, because this is way more interesting than it might sound initially.
Definitely. It really is. And it's a topic that's actually super relevant, I think, whether you're, someone prepping for the UPSC GS2 paper on international relations,
Right.
a student interested in global economics, or just someone who wants to, understand how the world works a little bit better.
Yeah.
The NDB is kind of a fascinating case study.
Yeah, absolutely. So, imagine you and your friends, you decide you're going to start a club.
Okay.
But you want to make it different. You want to make it fairer than the existing clubs out there. And that's kind of what happened with the NDB. It's a pretty young institution, just established in 2014 by the BRICS nations, Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa.
Right, and that context is really important because the NDB was born out of this desire to create something different, an alternative to what they saw as the existing institutions like the World Bank, and really focusing on the needs and priorities of developing countries.
Yeah. And one of the things that makes it so different, and this is particularly interesting, I think, for those of you studying international relations, is the way that voting works in the NDB. It's a one country, one vote system.
Yeah, that's a really unique feature.
Which is, pretty different from what you see in a lot of these big institutions like the World Bank.
Exactly. And it ensures that, no matter the economic size of the country, everyone has an equal say, right?
Yeah.
So China and India have the same voting power as South Africa and Brazil. So that's really important to consider. And it's a pretty powerful example, I think, of how these emerging economies are, kind of challenging the traditional power structures and saying, hey, we want a more equitable system.
Yeah, absolutely. So we've got this new club. It's got a different set of rules.
Okay.
But what's their mission? Like, what are they actually trying to achieve?
Well, they've got a pretty clear mandate. They want to foster development, support economic growth, promote competitiveness, create jobs, and also facilitate knowledge sharing among developing countries.
Okay.
So you can think of it as this, collaborative effort where they're really trying to lift each other up.
Yeah, that's a pretty ambitious set of goals.
It is.
But there's a twist.
Right.
It's not just about chasing economic growth at any cost. This is where the idea of sustainable development really comes into play.
Yeah, and honestly, that's something that everyone should be thinking about, not just, UPSC aspirants.
Absolutely.
The NDD is very committed to this idea of sustainable development. And it means they're not just throwing money at any project that comes their way. They're really carefully looking at these projects to make sure that they balance economic growth with environmental and social responsibility.
Right.
So they're thinking about, are these projects going to benefit people and the planet in the long run?
Yeah. So it's kind of like they're building a house, but they're thinking about the foundation, the materials they're using, making sure it's going to stand the test of time.
Exactly.
And be a good place for people to live.
Perfect analogy. They're looking at the big picture, considering the long-term impacts of their decisions. They really want to create a world where development is sustainable and benefits everyone. So, you might be thinking, okay, this sounds great. They've got this vision, but what does it actually look like? What are they doing?
Right.
And that's where it gets even more, I think, exciting. This isn't just an idea. They're actually funding projects all over the world.
Yeah, this is where it gets really relevant, I think, for our UPSC aspirants out there, because understanding how the NDB operates, what are those key areas that they focus on? What kind of projects are they supporting? This is crucial stuff if you're, tackling that GS2 paper.
Absolutely. So let's take India as an example, right?
Yeah.
Founding member of the NDB, key player in how it operates.
Right.
And the NDB has been really instrumental in supporting all sorts of projects in India, everything from renewable energy initiatives to infrastructure development.
And this is where you see that commitment to sustainable development really coming into play, right?
Yeah.
Because it's not just about building anything and everything. It's, really prioritizing projects that have a positive impact on the environment and on society.
Exactly. So for example, take the Canara Bank Renewable Energy Financing Scheme, right? The NDB has provided a lot of funding for that project.
Okay.
And the goal of that project is to increase access to clean energy in India. So not only does this, help India move away from its reliance on fossil fuels, but it also, contributes to global efforts to combat climate change.
So it's like this ripple effect.
Exactly.
You have a project in India that actually has positive consequences for the whole planet.
Precisely. And it's not just, these big sort of flashy projects. The NDB also recognizes that, sometimes you've got to focus on the basics.
Right.
So, a good example of this is the Madhya Pradesh multi-village water supply project. It sounds kind of basic, right? But it's all about providing safe and reliable drinking water to rural communities.
Yeah.
And it's, really improving their health and their quality of life.
I mean, it's amazing when you think about the impact that has on just everyday life for people.
Okay, totally.
Like, no more long walks to fetch water, no more worrying about, is this water contaminated? It's huge.
Absolutely. And of course, when we talk about development, we can't forget about infrastructure, right? So the NDB has played a really important role in financing key infrastructure projects in India.
Yep.
Take, for instance, the Mumbai Metro Rail project.
Oh, yeah.
Anybody who's been to Mumbai can appreciate this, right?
Yeah.
Having a modern and efficient metro system is absolutely essential in a city of that size.
Right.
Not only does it make transportation easier for people, but it also, reduces traffic congestion, helps with air pollution.
Win-win.
Yeah, exactly. And it's not just about the cities either, right? The NDB is also investing in rural infrastructure.
Okay.
So for example, the Bihar Rural Roads Project.
Right.
And by improving the road connectivity in these rural areas, they're connecting villages to markets, to schools, to healthcare facilities.
Oh, yeah.
And it's opening up, all sorts of opportunities and improving people's livelihoods.
It's about creating a more interconnected and a more equitable society.
Exactly. And while we've been talking a lot about India, it's important to remember that the NDB's reach goes way beyond India's borders. They're funding projects in all the BRICS nations. They've actually expanded their membership to include other countries as well.
And that, I think, really speaks to the growing influence of the NDB and their commitment to becoming a truly global development institution.
Right. And it's strategic too, right? It allows them to, to diversify their funding sources, to support a wider range of projects, and it really strengthens their position as a leader, in sustainable development.
It's like they're building this global network, of partners all working together towards this shared goal.
And that goal at the end of the day is about creating a more just and sustainable world. It's making sure that everyone, no matter where they live, has the opportunity to thrive.
It's a pretty powerful vision.
It is.
And it seems like it's really resonating with countries all over the world.
It is. The NDB is really challenging the status quo, I think. And they're showing that there's another way to approach development, one that's more equitable, one that's more sustainable, and ultimately one that's more beneficial for everyone.
Yeah, it really is inspiring to see them putting this vision into action and how their influence is growing on the global stage.
Yeah, it really is. And I think this is where we can start to draw some really interesting and important insights, especially for, those of you who are preparing for the UPSC exams.
Absolutely.
Understanding the NDB, it's not just about memorizing facts and figures for the GS2 paper.
Right.
It's about understanding, these broader trends in international relations. How are the power dynamics shifting globally?
Yeah.
And how are, these new institutions emerging that are challenging the kind of established order.
Yeah. And the NDB is such a perfect example of that, right?
Absolutely. It's a prime example of what we call South-South cooperation.
Okay.
Which is basically, developing countries coming together, supporting each other, and creating their own solutions.
Right.
Rather than relying solely on, the traditional Western-led institutions.
And this is such a key theme in contemporary international relations, right?
Absolutely.
And if the NDD is successful, it could really, pave the way for for even more of these kinds of collaborative initiatives among developing nations.
Exactly. And that brings us to a pretty crucial question, right? What does the future hold for the NDB, and what are the implications of its rise, for the global development landscape?
That is the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It is.
And it's one that I think you might want to be thinking about, especially for your UPSC essay paper.
Oh, yeah.
How will the NDB's expanding role reshape global finance and development? Will it truly offer a viable alternative to the existing system?
Yeah.
Or will it eventually become part of the establishment? I mean, these are tough questions.
They are. They're complex questions. There's no, easy answers. But one thing's for sure. The NDB is a force to be reckoned with.
Right.
And its influence is only going to continue to grow in the coming years.
Absolutely. And it's an exciting time to be following all of this. And we hope that this deep dive has given you a better understanding of the NDB, its mission and its potential impact on the world.
We do. And, we encourage you to delve a little deeper into this topic if you're interested. Check out the NDB's website, read some articles, stay informed about the projects and initiatives that they're working on.
Yeah, absolutely. And of course, don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe to the channel, and click the notification bell so you don't miss any of our future deep dives where we'll continue to explore the fascinating world of international relations and beyond.
Yeah. Keep learning, keep exploring, and keep those brains buzzing.